Apple, the world's most valuable company, began assembling its latest iPhone models in India only last year, a significant break from its practice of reserving much of that for giant Chinese factories run by its main Taiwanese assemblers, including Foxconn. While India makes up just a fraction of iPhone output, rising exports bode well for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's plan to make the country an alternative to China as a factory to the world. In this video, we will look at the causes for the increase in exports. Apple Inc. exported more than $2.5 billion of iPhones from India from April to December, nearly twice the previous fiscal year's total, underscoring how the US tech giant is accelerating a shift from China with geopolitical tensions on the rise. Foxconn Technology Group and Wistron Corp have each shipped more than $1 billion of Apple's marquee devices abroad in the first 9 months of the fiscal year ending March 2023, people familiar with the matter said. Pegatron Corp, another major contract manufacturer for Apple, is on track to move about $500 million of the gadgets overseas by the end of January, the people said, asking not to be identified, revealing private information. Apple's rapidly growing export numbers illustrate how it is ramping up operations outside of China, where chaos at Foxconn's main plant in Zhengzhou exposed vulnerabilities in the Cupertino-headquartered company's supply chain and forced it to trim output estimates. That compounded a broader problem with evaporating demand for electronics as consumers weigh the risks of a global recession. India's vast workforce, Modi's support, and a thriving local market make it a prime candidate to take on more electronics manufacturing. Foxconn, Apple's largest supplier, began building facilities in the country more than 5 years ago in anticipation of a need to extend its geographic range. One recent selling point is a raft of new government incentives, a cornerstone of Modi's drive to make India an electronics manufacturing hub. Foxconn has won 3.6 billion rupees, $44 million, of benefits in the first year of the so-called production-linked incentive scheme, while Wistron's claims are currently being processed, the people said. What Bloomberg Intelligence says India's cost savings and market potential are among the benefits it offers to Apple's iPhone supply chain. Its ample labor supply and low wages, at least 50% lower than in China, can be a strong draw for EMS players such as Huawei and Pegatron, given their thin margins and labor intensiveness. India's production-linked incentives, PLI, offer subsidies equivalent to 4% to 6% of production costs for 5 years once certain performance criteria are met. Apple's contract manufacturers currently make iPhones at plants in southern India. But production in the country is just beginning. About 3 million of the devices were made in India in 2021, compared with 230 million in China. But moving out of China, where Apple has built a deep supply chain for close to 2 decades, isn't easy. A Bloomberg Intelligence analysis estimated it would take about 8 years to move just 10% of Apple's production capacity out of China, where roughly 98% of the company's iPhones are being made. India tracks production and exports of all smartphone makers who enjoy financial incentives as part of Modi's push. The iPhone maker is also expected to open its first retail store in India in 2023, after meeting certain criteria imposed on foreign retailers.